to a special announcement. This is the new book for our podcast that we call 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. I am Michael J. Nelson, joined as always by Conor Listoka. Hi, Conor.
Hey, Mike. We call it that. Everyone else calls it a goofy romp through the pages of books. That's what the fans call it.
What would be the cool nickname for it?
Oh, man. 372 risen pages that will never get back, no cap.
Oof! Wow. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna announce our new book. This will be our, what is it? I was just looking it up. Is it? It's not the 38th, is it?
38. Yes, a number with.
Wow.
I can't think of it. 36 books, 36 chambers. Wu-Tang, 37. There's a line in Clerks about 37. 38 though. I don't have any associations with.
I'm assuming that, that's like Hitler's birthday is on the 38th of, I don't know.
Funny you should mention that as we work towards a reveal, but
but I figured before we announce, we have to do some shenanigans as always. Because otherwise, you can't,
Yeah, you gotta build up to it. Otherwise, it's a 3-minute quote episode.
Yeah, so we're gonna, a juggling bear is gonna come out, a monkey smoking a cigar. But before that, I'm gonna give a little quiz to Conor because normally, obviously the quiz thing tends to go one way,
right?
And
which is great success on your part.
I'm rising. I'm lifting all boats with the rising tide of my success. But I want to see how you do with this is past books. These are quotes from either past books,
okay,
or works of transcendent fiction from the past.
Okay, all right. We usually like this sort of thing because it's often very difficult to tell.
Yes. So these are. To make it easier for you, this is just multiple choice. So I will give you the quote, and then you will have, in most cases, 4 choices to choose from.
Okay.
And then all you have to do is zero in on it. And these are just a few, and then we will get to the main event. Quote number 1, "We now stood amazed at the sight, for their blotched and warty skins were of a curious fish-like iridescence, and the sunlight struck them at ever varying rainbow bloom as they moved."
Wow, that's florid language.
I copied that down wrong, which is why I spelled ever varying rainbow, not every varying.
Still, rainbow bloom is an interesting turn of phrase. So,
is that from The Legend of Ra and the Muggles by N.K. Stouffer, The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Guy N. Smith's Night of the Crabs, or Model Land by Tyra Banks?
Oh man! Off the bat, I thought it could have been The Time Machine. Like looking at those things, but I also thought Muggles. So Muggles was my first choice of the books reread. I'll say that.
Okay, let's go to number 2, and we'll reveal at the end.
Got it.
"I could smell oregano, onions, garlic, and tomato sauce. Something Italian." Is that?
Your read on that one, though, is that, hang on. You said onions without... onions?
I know. I said I went right through it without sighing heavily and being really put upon by people having to read the ingredients. Something Italian. Is that Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, Caleb's Dream by Caleb Varney, or Tech Kill by William Shatner?
Sure.
You can't see it. I have heavy scare quotes on that.
Well, I think it's too coherent for Finnegan's Wake, and Caleb's Dream did have a lot of cooking in it, so I'm going to say Caleb's Dream.
Okay. All right. I'm just marking that. Hang on. Okay. And next quote is, "As I shall have occasion to relate, however, in the course of the narrative, this danger became more acute and assumed at times a most formidable phase."
Oh, boy.
So there's your prose for you. Is that Irene Iddesleigh, am I pronouncing that right?
I think so.
By Amanda McKittrick Ross, Edison's Conquest of Mars by Garrett P. Serviss, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, or Antigua, the Land of Fairies, Wizards, and Heroes by the Ellises, although for some reason Larry gets quote on that, or gets authorship of that for some reason.
It definitely sounded old-timey to me, so I'll rule out the Ellises and say Irene Idsley.
Okay.
Because that was it seemed like it went in a lot of different directions, that run-on sentence.
Okay. This one I think is a giveaway. You're probably going to get this, but here we go. I'm sorry if there's kids in the room. You might want to earmuff them on this one. I don't know. Every stool was looser than the one before and smelled fouler. By the time the moon came up, she was shitting brown water. I'm sorry.
Wow.
The more she drank, the more she shat, and the more she shat, the thirstier she grew.
So James Joyce, I'm guessing.
Is The Eye of Argon by Jim Tice. George R.R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire, A Dance with Dragons. Bob Honey, Who Just Do Stuff, Sean Penn. And I didn't have a fourth choice, so that one's a little easier. You've got only 3 to choose from.
Oh. There was a sharding chimera. I'll try George R.R. I'll see. It seemed like there was always making water in those, but I'm sure there was also making loose stools as well.
People tell me, I did not read them, but people tell me a lot of boiled leather.
Oh, sure.
There's always boiling leather and eating breakfasts or whatever. All right. Last one. His beautiful smile turned into a frown. His golden strawberry blonde hair looked dirty and unkempt. His clothing hung in tatters from his thinning body. Is that The Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, The Legend of Ra and the Muggles by N.K. Stouffer, or The Lair of the White Worm by Bram Stoker? We have a Stouffer and a Stoker, so.
Oh, man. My first instinct was that maybe it was from Oliver Twist, so I'll go with David Copperfield by Charles Dickens.
Okay, let's run them down.
I don't have a lot of confidence here.
I will tell you right now, you did not do well. The first one is about the warty appearance of fish-like skin and ever-varying rainbow bloom as they moved was from Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. You said N.K. Stouffer's Legend of Ra. And
so is that about a dinosaur?
I think they come upon these giant toads the size of elephants or something.
Okay, great.
It's one of those, the 18th century or 19th century world being afraid of, underground caverns and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
I think. Well, I don't know. I haven't read it. I Could Smell Onion, something Italian. You said that was Caleb's Dream. That was a good guess. That is from Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man. Is that she goes over to the vampire's house and they're like, are they going to eat me? And they're like, we prepared you a feast. I mean,
you Americans like Italian, right? Okay, the next one was the old-timey quote, as I shall have occasion to relate, however, in the course of the narrative, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You said Amanda McKittrick Ross is Irene Idsley. It was Edison's Conquest of Mars by Garrett P. Serviss.
God, all right. Well, at least old-timey run-on sentences from a book we've read.
Yes. I mean, you have to pick one where there's not a character name or something, so that leaves a lot of his purple prose there. Stutteringly purple prose. And then the next one, which was about, pooping.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that was, you were correct. That was George R. R.
All right, good. The one classic I've identified was from Game of Thrones.
One of his more famous quotes. It's all over the internet.
So how did you search for these ringer quotes? What did you just type in for her?
I did a search around of our old episodes, and then but that one was just like, I was like, famous authors, terrible quotes. And that was like by far number one that came up everywhere. So that started things off. And then
if that had been first, I might have picked Bob Honey. But since I hadn't picked one of the Ringer books yet, I thought I was like due for one. That was my thought process.
Okay, last one. Beautiful smile, dirty, unkempt hair, clothing from thinning bodies. You said David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. That was Legend of Ra and the Muggles by N.K. Stover.
Well, I wasn't going to pick it twice. Oh, man.
So there you go. Yep, sorry.
Wow, we read that one not a year ago, too. Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm unfamiliar with the classics because I haven't read them, and I'm unfamiliar with the terrible books we read on this because I've forgotten them. So where does that put me?
Well, now wait a minute. You correctly guessed George R.R. Martin, the most distinguished author.
That's because we just watched his most recent Game of Thrones show, which, like, the beginning of it is a enormous pooping joke. So like the way the series starts is subverts your expectations with a gratuitous pooping joke. So maybe I was just in that frame of mind.
All right. Well, there you go. Nicely done. You got one correct out of 5.
Great. Well, you will have to do real or fanfic as we move forward. So I think that
the worm, the lair of the worm will turn. Yes.
And speaking of turning, we will turn our attentions to this 38th book we're about to reveal. This is one, boy, it's been one that people have been writing in about for a while. I found the first person recommending to us in December of 2019, a listener named Jessica. Mm-hmm. And this is a book that I always thought didn't have an ebook. And the ebooks make things so much easier for us to take notes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I was reluctant to dive in. And then someone else recommended it last week, and I was like, oh, it has an ebook, and it's $2.99, so why not?
Okay, good. And the price won't go up to $400 because there's only 6 of them left.
Yeah, there are only 6 ebooks, so that's the problem. They're going to be hoarded.
Why? We just can't print anymore.
But when we're doing these books, when we like find a movie at Riff Tracks, there's certain things that are the key components of the really truly special things. And I think that this book that we're about to cover has a lot of them all at once. And some of the ones that I sort of identified were like an author writing someone who's completely unlike them, whether that's a substantially younger, a different gender, coming from a different walk of life. Yeah. This one seems to be well-versed in that. You have someone sort of getting in well over out over their skis in terms of their capabilities of an author, writing in terms of grand schemes and themes and stuff like that. And then you have the thin-skinned auteur who, despite putting something out there that may not be, great, like a lot of these books are, is unable to accept that criticism and sort of makes it his mission to lash out at these people who may not like his book, which you get a lot of those movies at Riff Tracks as well.
Oh, we certainly do. Someday we'll write the book. There's so many non-disclosures on all of this stuff that we can't talk about it, but it's amazing, people. Pretty much every film has some weirdo attached to it.
Where you just make the most lighthearted. Anyone would agree that if you make a movie about a giant insect invading somewhere, no one's going to be like, all right, well, that was, bump Citizen Kane off the top of my list. And yet if you dare to say this wasn't good, it is, I will come to your house. I will find you.
I will burn down your... Yeah.
And, so this book, which is called Empress Teresa by Norman Boughton, is one of these books. And speaking of the things we've covered, this is almost like us deciding to talk about The Room in 2026, because this came out in I think 2014, something like that. So probably close to around the same, maybe a few years after The Room. But it's been well covered in this space.
Yeah, we'll be podcast number 3,000, like talking about this. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. But the more you sort of read about it is the more you realize that it was definitely something special. And I think what made it sort of special in the beginning was that the author did essentially do his press tour, so to speak, in the comments of other people's reviews on Amazon, which was, insulting their IQ and telling them they didn't get it and lashing out at the readers who dared say that this book about a teenage girl written by a New England man in his 60s was not very good.
had some flaws. Could have been better. This shall not stand.
The first flaw that you noticed on the cover was the painting that he did himself, and sort of kept revising throughout the process. But it had a hallmark of our podcast featured on the cover itself.
Yeah, this is a rarity. Usually you have to dig into the prose, and then sure enough on page 275 or whatever, long, thin fingers or long hands, whatever the permutation of it is. This one, it's right there on the cover. I was able to zoom into it. And very strange, witchy hands with long, misshapen fingers.
Deformed, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hands are hard, but this is, they were long, that's for sure.
So part of the things that have covered this, like I said, there's many videos, there's many long videos, but the one that I watched was like 14 minutes long. It was called Down the Rabbit Hole by Frederick Knudsen with 4.5 million views on it. And it was just sort of a little mini documentary about the process, but he highlighted some of the great quotes from this guy as he sort of responded to this thing. And him responding obviously is what got people's attention, because self-published Amazon bad books come and go, but this is sort of like they poked the bear and the bear started insulting their IQ. So people were like, well, I want to do that too, because this is hilarious. So that's really what sort of made the book take off.
It's the 3 Wolf Moon t-shirt of like bad self-publishing.
I think it was. If you left a review saying this is a terrible graphic design, and then Wolf number 2 would be like, well, your mom's a terrible graphic design. So I isolated some of the quotes. Most of these are from that Down the Rabbit Hole video, but he said in response to one critic, Norman Boutin, is that how we say that? That's how this
Let's
guy.
go
That's
with
how
Boutin, yeah. Let's go with the French. Yeah.
He said, I have read many contemporary books, John Grisham's The Firm, et cetera, to see what contemporary authors are doing. That was in 2014. That was his definition of a contemporary book. He also, this is funny that this book comes up again. He's quoting another Amazon critic who had said, I can tell if I will enjoy a book by reading the first chapter. So he quotes that. He says, oh, well, then you will never read Tale of Two Cities. Sick. Anna Karenina, spelled wrong, Gone with the Wind, or any book that doesn't have a murder, explosion, or crime in the first few pages. So that was his sort of gotcha.
Wow, that's a bit of a straw man, but okay.
Another one says that he made constant comparisons between himself and Harper Lee, possibly just because both of their books, To Kill a Mockingbird and Empress Teresa, featured a teenage girl as the protagonist. He says, in others, high-level stuff, the big picture, I just read To Kill a Mockingbird. There's at least 100 pages that could be thrown out with no loss to the main story. Then he used italicized red font. But at this point, who the heck cares? It's like, yeah, I guess it is. If you're making comparisons or criticisms of To Kill a Mockingbird in 2014, people probably don't care that much about what you have to say. And then this, I mean, this isn't funny in real life. However, in the context of defending your self-published Amazon book about a teenage girl, it seems sort of inappropriate. This is 2015, so he's been arguing for a while in the comments here. My sister was operated on this morning. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer last summer. She's been getting radiation and chemotherapy to prepare for the surgery. They took out the tumor today, but her prognosis is very poor. The disease is 95% fatal. It would have been nice if she'd lived to see Emperor Teresa, the great success it should be. But thanks to you internet trolls, that won't be for several more years. All caps, you people are scum. Multiple exclamation points following that.
Wow.
So it's sort of like the YouTube comments of my dad died today, and so now I find myself here listening to Madonna's Vogue. His sister got the tumor removed, and he logged on to Amazon to call his critics scum.
Wow. So you were, if you're any kind of criticism that you respond to, the way to wall yourself off from it is to just bring up some tragedy. Oh, now you're gonna make fun of me? My dad just died. Like, all right.
Right.
I was gonna leave a fart noise on here as my full review.
Oh, You're saying this when Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated 127 years ago on this day. How dare you?
Yeah. So you love the Black Hand. Is that what you're saying?
And then what is this? He wrote a critic who is, I guess he published something. I don't know if he published this review of Empress Teresa in a newspaper called the Albany Journal, or if the guy just writes for that in general. So maybe he was doing the research into his critics. But he said Bhutan called the Albany Journal a dying newspaper out of print and put on the internet, and said that's not the kind of wording a newspaper editor should use, even if it's only an online website in Albany. And then he emphasizes this with reverse carrots on either side of it. Albany, Georgia, not the politically important Albany, New York, where 2 or 3 legislators might glance at your shitty little editorials one time before returning to the New York Times print edition. Couldn't make it in the big state. Huh? That explains a lot. I know you now.
Wow. Can you add homonym an entire newspaper? Because that would be good.
And town, Albany, Georgia is like, we're a perfectly nice community.
Hey. Ours is called something slightly different. It's a decent paper.
Yeah, so maligning all of that. And then I think there's a whole wiki about Empress Teresa, but it pointed out that it got to the point where he was arguing with people in the comments of certain reviews, and these threads would hit a Amazon limit that I'm sure a developer had been like, well, no one will ever hit this, but they hit a 10,000 comment limit and was like, no more comments can be posted here because 10,000 was the max we coded into this, because we did not expect Norman Boughton to be engaging with the
Imagine he's on like paragraph 6 of his response to someone who was like, I don't know, I stopped reading after page 10, and he just like hits enter and like, nope, you have reached the limit, son of a... Why did I just spend the last 8 hours?
This was going to be the one that convinced them.
Yes.
So that was all a decade and a half ago that all this happened, when he was, I believe, in his 60s and living in Maine. I think he's a retired dentist, maybe an army dentist or something like that. But there's one picture of him supposedly on the internet. It's sort of unsourced, but that's believed to be what he looks like. So now I guess he's probably pushing 80. So who knows if his days of logging on and disagreeing with people are beyond him, or if he's got that out of his system. I guess we'll find out.
Didn't he say one of his responses was something about like, I know women, like I'm pretty hot or something, and that's what, of course, you're going to dive towards. Like, let's see a picture of this dude. Right. And, I mean, everybody ages. There's nothing you can do about that. But it is a funny picture because it's also like shot sort of clipped at the wrong, like at the chin, just pulling
from below. Yeah.
So it's not a great picture.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guy has had a crazy method of promoting this book, but the book is also, by all accounts, extremely, extremely bad. It has sort of self-insert. It has, they call it the ultimate sort of Mary Sue, where this woman is perfect. Yeah. It strikes me as a lot, sounds like it's going to be quite super constitution-y in terms of this person sort of being a thinly veiled manifesto as it plays out, in terms of, well, if I was in charge, if I was the empress, here's what things would be happening.
It'll be interesting to see what his ideas are and how they mesh with, was it Charles K. Kim? Was it? Or just Charles
Kim? It might have just been Kim. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but, get them together. Maybe a little 372 extra, those two talking on the phone. A little exchange of ideas, a little meeting of minds, huh?
That would be something where I'm sure they'd be like, well, of course we agree on this. And they get to they parse it so fine that they finally found something that, like, well, that's where we would have World War III because of that disagreement over.
You eat so many flaming bags of so many things,
There was a little New York Times thing where they took you inside the Unabomber's cabin that I looked at this weekend, where, when they say cabin, you always...
That's what I did this weekend.
You look at the pictures, though, and it was like, well, yeah, cabin is putting it nicely. And so you can imagine anyone writing one of these type of screeds being in that type of filthy cabin with things piled up everywhere and just living in filth as they look out at the world, like the Grinch being like, well, if I was in charge, things would be a lot different. Also, if I was a 17-year-old girl.
I always wondered at his defense, did the guy should have broken his defense lawyer, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm just making a joke, is that he says he's just part of the tiny house movement, and then, shows like other people's like tiny houses. So you impugn this man because his house is a little small. He was just right? He was a pioneer in the tiny house movement.
Yeah. Yeah, you just start ad homineting them. Like, we all know these sick freaks who go out there and live in 200 square feet.
Yes.
Optimizing their drawer system, that's no way to live. I've always thought it would be funny if his manifesto, which is broadly described as anti-technology, and I think goes in some other weirder directions than that. But if he was like, all right, I've gotten the Washington Post and New York Times to finally publish my anti-technology manifesto. Let's see how that looks. And it's like, you've hit your free article limit, sir. And he's like, ah! Exactly what I was warning you about. I've got to use archive.is to access it. This is going against my whole ethos.
Wow. Okay. So, Unabomber book manifesto is our next book. Right?
I think this is as close as we'll get to reading that whole thing. To me, it sounds great. We haven't really discussed the content because I tried not to spoil too much, but the few things that did sort of make it through the filter sounded pretty incredible.
And he's not going to go he might have the same ideas as Charles Kim, but he's not going to go in that direction of describing the anatomy of the people involved, or there's not going to be any thruples, as far as I know.
That was one of the greatest surprises in podcast history. That nothing that I read seemed to bear that out. It didn't seem like it was the same way that the world's most successful book to film author of this decade, Andy Weir, was known to do an Artemis, where it was like, the moon gravity definitely affected the bouncing of my marvelous breast as I ran around. I feel like we might get some of that, but I don't think we get, suction cups involved into anything.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. I mean, if there's a killing wave or two, look, we'll take it. That's fine. But the rest of it is all, it's larding up the things. It's gilding the lily. We just want your ideas, man. If I ruled the world and I was a hot teen, I assume she's hot.
Oh, I think that would be ridiculous. The book, I mean, you saw the cover. I mean, there you go.
Kind of a flight attendant suit she's wearing? What is that?
Empress via Delta.
Yeah, okay. Just the one who tells you the bathrooms are in the back and the exits are in the, that one, the one who's kind of, everyone was like, she's hot.
Yeah, that's her vision, is making sure that you know where the emergency exits are located.
Yes.
It's a very modest goal as supreme ruler of the earth, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm excited. People have written in about it enough that it sort of feels like we should cover it, and I'm glad that it is in a readable ebook for us all to be able to enjoy. I think it's in paperback too, but.
One last thing, we were just because it's fresh in my mind, we were just on a flight, so Bridget and I, because we had to, it was an unexpected thing, so we had to be we took the last seats, which were right on the bulkhead in front, and a tiny plane. So the flight attendant was standing like 6 inches from me doing the seatbelt demonstration. And, I'm from the Midwest. You're like, hey, someone's giving a little speech. You want to give them a little eye contact, but I'm like looking at my book. And she's like right there. And I could just kind of sense the feeling of like putting the buckle in and kind of looking down at me, paying attention here. It was so much pressure. I was like, it was just the stress. They do the Ren and Stimpy close up of my face. Like,
don't take this out on me, flight attendant. You do this 3 times a day. You know that.
I've seen it a lot. Do I have to watch?
Man.
Anyway, the fact that it was like right there, like physically closer than a person.
Clicking,
like,
you're like,
yeah, closer than a close talker. So
yeah.
It was like right there. Anyway, All right. I'm excited about the book.
Yeah, me too. It should be very fun. We'll put an assignment in the notes. And yeah, if you've already read it, I hope you're on board for another go round. I know some of our readers have, but it should be a fun thing to explore on this podcast, even if you've already watched many of the multiple other multi-hour documentaries.
Yeah, this is the one you want to. Yeah, don't go digging for it, and don't go paying attention to any other podcasts or videos about it. This is the one you want. Yeah.
This is the only one with Charles Kim comparisons that will be made along the way.
We can guarantee it. All right, see ya.
Bye.